Hey, hello everybody. Thank you so much for joining us with us today. Thank you so much for joining us today. And I am accompanied by my friend Chad. And today we have a new release, and we have some new stuff in Red Giant. So if you are coming to get to learn what's the new feature, you're in the right place. And I see there are some people in the chat already joining us today. Plus Monkey, hello. And you guys are awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. It is quite a late hour here in Europe, and it's quite an early hour in the US, right, Chad?
On where I am, yeah. Oh, there's Blake. What's up, Blake?
Blake, hello.
Blake, our buddy Blake.
That's awesome. And George, hey George, thank you so much for joining us, everybody. And today we have a new features inside Red Giant called the Maxon Studio plugin page. Well, if you go to the maxon.net website, hang on, let me share my screen while I'm doing that. Wait a sec, if I still know how to do this. There you go, add to the stage. And if you go to news, headlines, you probably see the latest news about our release. And here you'll see that we have like a new features for Maxon Studio. And although it may look just, a small feature, it's actually a huge improvement over the use of Maxon Studio. So it is this page inside Maxon Studio that is called the plugins page, right? So you can launch plugin page nowadays. Like currently, you can like browse all your plugins inside Red Giant in one place within Maxon Studio. So the story goes like this. I mean, we always try hard to, the issue that we always have for such a long time is to tell a one Red Giant story to our users. And the pain point of our users are always the confusions of finding out what Red Giant's plugins are, what are the available effects. So if you're using After Effects, you probably see that you can search all the plugins inside the effects and presets. But then when you are, when you are not very familiar with Red Giant, then you probably use some plugins and you forgot about the others. Although that other plugins can offer you more benefit to your project, and sometimes it's just overlooked. So, for instance, me, I'm like very familiar with Red Giant Color, so I sometimes just use like the plugins that I use the most: Magic Bullet Looks, Colorista, Mojo, and so on. Not until recently I start to stumble upon like any other like amazing plugins in the VFX category that you can do a lot with it. So just imagine that we like for the artist that is using Red Giant for such a long time, and that could be a problem already. But just imagine if it's like a new artist just starting using Red Giant. So probably it will be a head scratching moment to find out where Red Giant plugins located and what Red Giant plugins can do. And now inside Maxon Studio, you have the plugin page. So you can launch Maxon Studio from window and go on Maxon Studio, or follow the hotkey. So you can use the shortcut Control Option Space to launch Maxon Studio. And inside Maxon Studio now, you can browse all your plugins. And now if you see here, up here, you have the plugin drop down. And if we click blurs and glow, it will show us just the blurs and glows effects and so on. Like color, you can see all the colors effects, right? And also stylize, text, transitions, and so on, right? So with this, you don't have to spend so much time exploring what new plugins, what are the other plugins that you hardly use inside Red Giants, because it is in one page, just one scroll away, and you'll find all the plugins. I mean, now you'll see that I click this drop-down button to see all the category, but there is a tree view built in this Maxon Studio plugin page. So if I click this tree view option here, now you can dock all the plugins for your effects. Like for example, if I go to color and if I select Magic Bullet Looks, for example, it will now open a details page. And you can see that it has some explanations that these effects need a layer to be functional. And this is under category, under color category. And also it is available in the Red Giant subscriptions. And what's nice is that using this, you can kind of see like if one effects will need a solid or adjustment layer to do that. And since it is built inside Maxon Studio, all the sophistications of Maxon Studio is also built into the plugins page as well. For example, if I want to apply one effects, for example, like a colorista, I can now apply. Although I don't have any compositions available, it is asking me to, it is prompting me to create a new composition. So if I create one, it will create a new composition for me with the effects applied as an adjustment layer. So that's pretty awesome. What do you think about it, Chad?
I love it, dude. I think one of the coolest things is that in that little details tab that you mentioned, it says like what the effect does. So like if you wanted to kind of go through like all like it's like 139 effects in Red Giant Complete and 105 in Universe. So if you wanted to like go through each one of those effects and also just kind of get like a little blurb about what each one does, like you've never been able to do that before. So it's just like a great way to kind of get familiar because like nobody knows. I mean,
absolutely
nobody knows all those 100 and whatever tools. It's a lot. So just being able to go through and just very quickly, like one at a time, just like see, oh, what does this do? What does this do? Let me see an example of it in motion and blah, blah. That's very, very cool.
That's very awesome. And for example, some of our effects also have designer windows, right? And what's nice with this plugin page, now, for example, if I go to my favorite lens flare plugins in the world, Real Lens Flare, you can see all the presets without opening the designer. So if I press View All, now you can browse the Real Lens Flare presets without opening the designer. So there you go. You can just like scroll down and you have all the presets available in the plugins page. So this also similar experience like Magic Bullet Looks, for example, or Trapcode Particular, and so on. Everything that has a designer window, now you can browse the presets from Maxon Studio. And if I apply this from plugins page, you can see that it creates a solid and then it applies the Real Lens Flare. And if I go back to the detail page by pressing this one, and there is a button to open the designer right from the plugins page. Right? So there you go. That's like the story that we're trying to tell. One Red Giant. I think we are getting closer, and I hope the new user or people that our user that hasn't been like familiarizing themselves with what all the available plugins can now start playing around with all the plugins available inside Red Giant. Also, you can now search for plugins. Like up here, there's a search bar. For example, if I search looks, now you can see that there's Magic Bullet Looks. If I click that, now it brings my Magic Bullet Looks. So it means that if you're familiar with one plugin, you can just search it and make them favorite. And later on, you can see your favorite plugins. So if I click all plugins,
I think you're seeing the favorites. Like you still have the favorite thing selected, so you have to unselect the heart.
Okay.
There you go.
And if I see the okay.
I think it didn't register when you clicked the heart on the other one.
Okay. So, but you get the point. I mean, you can favorite your plugins, and then when you, there you go. When you press the heart, you see the favorite plugins. Probably I clicked too fast, and it hasn't registered with Magic Bullet Looks. Right. So that's the functionality of plugins page inside Maxon Studio. And if you click the settings, now there is a page there you go. There's a drop down that you can set how Maxon Studio behave when you first open it. So, for example, if you first open Maxon Studio and you want to see the plugin page, you can select it here. Or if you want Maxon Studio start with discover capsules, you can also see it here, edit capsule and create capsule. It means that if you like have some projects and you mainly creating capsules, you can start Maxon Studio with create page right from the beginning. And this like speed up your workflow massively just by using the shortcut. And you have Maxon Studio with a plugin page, with a capsule page, or with a create page. So that is really convenient, in my opinion. And yeah, by the way, if you have any questions, just feel free to drop down all the questions in the chat, and we'll try our best to answer those. And Plus Monkey just said, get much easier for the first timers. I couldn't agree more. Absolutely. So, do you have anything to add, chat? Otherwise, I can just showcase. Yeah,
I do. I have a little secret keyboard shortcut that Nate Haight taught me. That's pretty fun.
Wow.
Can you go to the plugins page and then go to Trapcode Particular?
Trapcode Particular, that is under Particles and 3D, right?
Correct.
There you go.
So scroll down to Trapcode Particular, and then there's the View Presets button on the icon. You can click that to see all of its presets. And so again, all the presets from the designer have been taken and put here, right? So there's like tons. So if you look at this category, this is just like the abstract category, and you just scroll and scroll and scroll, and it's still that same abstract category. So it gets to be a lot. So scroll back up to the top. And so one of the things you could do, obviously, is just like close the abstract. Yeah, there's like a little arrow next to it, so you can close it up, but then you have all these other ones. So what you could do is shift click. It's like a little like hidden, hey, Sharon. And then you have this like same trick from, if you shift click one of the disclosure triangles, it'll close up all the categories at once. So you can see all the categories and scroll to like what the ones that you want. And that's in the designer as well. But then they brought that secret shortcut from the designer here into the plugins page in Studio as well. So if you want to just like collapse everything really quick and just kind of see where you're at, especially like, these tools that have like tons of categories of like plugins, then you could just instantly see, like Magic Bullet looks probably even a better example because it has more plugins, categories, more presets. So kind of a nice way to, shift click, secret code, shift click those little disclosure triangles to close up all categories or open all categories at once.
Yeah, that is amazing. And that is Maxon plugin page, Maxon Studio plugin page. And give it a spin, try it out. And if you have any concern about it, if you want to talk to us and want to let us know about your findings, play around with it and let us know in the comments, right? And that is Maxon Studio. And if you are tuning in to Maxon Red Giant social channel, you probably know that last couple of months we just released a new plugin, and I think that is like really fun to play with. And that is a plugin that generate a depth map. And I think some of our friends at Maxon's going crazy about it and preparing some really, really great tutorial and video about it. If you wait patience enough, and if you keep tuning into Maxon socials, you probably know that at some point in the near future, there will be a very awesome video coming up about DefGen. But that is like a short spiel about it. If you haven't played around with DefGen, I think today we can showcase DefGen as well. What do you think, Jack?
Yes, I'm excited. I want to show some stuff off with DefGen, show you a little bit how this works, give you like a little intro to it. So if you haven't, played with it yet, I can kind of show you how this goes.
So,
And also
all
depth gen is one of these tools that's like a simple thing, but there's just like a lot you can do with it. So even if you have played with it and you know what it does, then I might be able to share some stuff with you, blah, blah, blah.
right. I'll add your screen to the stage.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay, there we go. So we have the Mona Lisa. And what Depth Generator does, for those of you who have not seen this yet, it's an AI-based tool. So it's like a good AI tool. Like it's not generating anything. It's just using machine learning to look at your footage and calculate the depth in it. So how far away things are from the camera. And then it returns a grayscale map of the depth in your shot. And it's really crazy how it does this. I don't know how it works. But it's an ethical thing. It doesn't like send data about your project anywhere. And there's like information in the plugin that explains this and stuff like that. So there's no like learning from your data or anything like that. So so basically, and I want to show this example with, because you know, you'd see it in footage, and you know, with how cameras are nowadays, there's all kinds of like metadata and things like that that are in the camera that maybe can use, but somehow this tool, this depth generator, goes beyond that and could do some like crazy things. So we're going to start with like the Mona Lisa, which is a painting. In case you've forgotten, this is actually painted by Leonardo da Vinci like 500 years ago. A painting, and still depth generator can somehow look in here and see the depth in this painting. So I'm going to go ahead and apply depth generator. And instantly we get, I mean, you saw how quick that was. It's pretty cool. We get a depth map of the Mona Lisa. It sees the depth, like her like hair versus her cheek, her arms, all this kind of stuff. We get this grayscale version of what this does. And so the rest of the time, I'm basically going to be showing you variations of like what you can do with this. Because if you're new to visual effects, or maybe if you're not new to visual effects, but you're new to depth maps, there are a load of things you could do with this like seemingly stupid grayscale map. Very, very powerful things that can make photos come alive and really do a lot of cool stuff. So that's what I want to cover. The plugin itself is actually very simple. Again, I mentioned like the ethics of that. And if you go down to the bottom of the effect, AI tool information, it says it leverages an AI model installed locally on your machine. It does not learn from any content you process through or send any image data back to Maxon. So just like that AI stuff is just kind of like built in right there. There's some tweaks that you do. One of the first things I do is that there are different learning models, like machine learning models. So if you're looking for a more rough map, if you're just looking to create like a blur map or something like that, and it doesn't have to like be that detailed, you could maybe do like a low resolution. Medium resolution is like a good medium. It renders pretty quickly. High takes a bit longer, but it's like always worth the details for the kind of stuff that I want to do. So I usually choose high. You see that it took a couple seconds to update, but now we get like more details like in her fingers, the depth in her fingers. If you look like really closely in the background, it's probably hard to see over the broadcast, but you can even see like the mountains in the background. You know how like she has like this like there's mountains behind her. There's even like, you could see the depth of the mountains and then the background behind that. It's even picking that up somehow, which is just like black magic to me. It's like kind of nuts. But also too, we could see that we are getting some stuff in the corners here. Like, I don't know if you could see that, but there's like a little bit, some bright pockets here. And I might want all of that to just go to black. I might wish that this was just all black. And that's what we have this like mapping for. So familiar with this graph from some of the trap code tools, Form in particular, you'll know how this works. But if in case you don't, this is the depth value here on the left. So this represents the white values that you're seeing here, which are the closest to camera because there's no depth. And then this is 100% depth. So this controls the depth furthest away from the camera. So this is the darkest parts of the image. And right now the darkest parts are not the darkest part. So what I can do is drag these down, and they take a minute to update because I'm in high resolution here. But as I drag this down and then wait for it to refresh, you'll see that I took all of this to black, if you can see again at the broadcast, but there were some like light gray here, and now it's been sent to black. And so I can control the depth of this with these values here in the graph with these other things. I'm just going to go ahead and click this reset button just to reset it. And then now let's talk about what we can do with this depth map. And actually, I'm just going to turn this off. Sometimes what I'll do is actually go to pre-compose, or I'll save layer as. There's a nice keyword shortcut there, save frame as file. It's Control-Alt-S on the PC, Command-Option-S on the Mac, and that will just save the frame. So that's like what I'll do is I'll export a frame and then re-import that so that depth generator doesn't have to process, because that can maybe slow things down. So I already have like the depth map here already rendered out. And so one of the most, one of the easiest things I could do is apply like the gradient wipe effect. And the gradient wipe effect is a transition that uses a grayscale map to create a transition. But if I use the depth generator, no, not the depth generator, solid, the depth map here as the gradient, then as I increase transition completion, we're able to, remove planes of depth here, basically, by doing this. And then I could increase the transition softness. So we have like a little bit of softness between these depth planes, but I could use this to kind of like matte away the background. And that's pretty cool, because if I, have some text here and some very tactful text that I'm sure Leonardo would very much approve of, what I can do is go back to my Mona Lisa here and make like a sandwich. I could put this on top, duplicate this, take the gradient wipe off of the background, so it's just like the full background. And then now as I'm on this top layer and I'm adjusting the transition completion, then I'm able to determine where on the depth that is. So we could do kinds of effects like that, where I create like a depth sandwich and put objects in between other objects, which is pretty fun. Or I could instead, let's say I'll add order dither. And so I have this like dithering plugin, and I could go in and apply, dither to just one part of an image like this. And so I could isolate something very, very quickly without making any kind of selections and that kind of thing. And I'm using a photo because I think this is amazing. I think it's amazing to do this on the Mona Lisa, but but you could obviously use this on like live action footage as well. It's going to like get the depth out of every frame. And also I should point out too, in this depth generator for post-processing, if there's flicker, because it is getting the depth out of every single frame individually. So sometimes there's flicker. So you can turn on deflicker and smoothing to smooth that out from frame to frame. But for still images, the post-processing isn't needed. Another thing that we could do here is I'll turn off the visibility of these things. Also, Max, please feel free to like interrupt anytime there's questions or conversation. Like just because I'm all excited about Just because I'm excited about this doesn't mean you can't like shut me up and interrupt and, like let me know what's going on.
Sharon seems to liking it. She said that that's a cool DOF mask, depth of field mask. That's awesome.
Yeah, right? Yeah, and actually that's like where I was going. So thank you, Sharon, for leading the way. So I applied the camera lens blur effect, just a native effect in After Effects. And so, yeah, a lot of times we're using these maps with Red Giant tools, because a lot of Red Giant tools can use grayscale maps. But I just want to make it clear, gradient wipe is a native After Effects effect. Camera lens blur is a native After Effects effect. Like once you have that grayscale depth map, there's just so much you can do with it. But the regular camera lens blur effect, I can take the layer and I'll use the depth layer again. And then again, it's going to be using this grayscale map as the blur map. So as I blur this, you can see that she's out of focus and the background is in focus. And maybe I could change the blur focus distance and bring her into focus. And now I got a shallow depth of field on the Mona Lisa, and I can control the blur of the background. And you can see that her hands are softening as well. So there's just a ton you can do with this. And also here's the before and after. So here's the before, just regular as Leonardo da Vinci attended. And then this is like this subversive thing where we're just kind of doing our own deal and blurring all kinds of stuff here and creating all kinds of really interesting effects. So some very cool stuff about that. And I'm going to go to another cool example here. I'm going to just
What I want
scrap
to add a
this.
little bit, Chad, if I
Do it,
may,
please.
just imagine, like now you have all this amazing tools and also the capability of the new Maxon Studio. And just imagine if you can just like snapshot it and create a capsules out of it and just reveal the parameter that you like. That's amazing. I mean, just imagine the possibility.
Yeah, making capsules, and then capsules now can store assets. So you can put the assets inside of a capsule. That's pretty incredible. So I have this footage that I shot. And also, I didn't tell you this, Max, so surprise, but I can make this available. This is some footage that I shot for a project years ago, and I could distribute this. And so I took an R3D snapshot. So this is red raw 3K footage. And it's just like beautiful. I love this model and this like shot. It's like really cool. And then when I made the depth map, this is what I came out with, which I think is just like so hauntingly beautiful in and of itself, right? But you could see like the detail like in her nose, her hair. I mean, it really came up with like all this kind of stuff. I tried to see if I could use this to like key out the background, and it doesn't work because it's not seeing like these little edges and these things that you know, are important for keying. But it could create like a garbage mat very, very quickly. And that's pretty cool based on the depth, which is really nice. So I don't have to worry about any kind of like issues with my green screen. I could kind of use this as a garbage mat and then use keying tools to get me the rest of the way to get the details out, which is kind of fun. Great for like sky replacement. I have an example of that in a second. But one of the things I want to show you about this whole depth map thing that I think is the coolest thing in the world, I'm going to actually start from scratch with the displacement map effect, just a regular displacement map effect that's in After Effects. And what I'm going to do is, because the displacement map effect, it's used to take pixels and move them based on luminance values. So anything that's like based on luminance values, it's like now the bell goes off like, ooh, I could use depth generator with that. So for this displacement map layer, I'm going to choose this depth map. And then by default, for some reason, it uses the red channel for horizontal displacement and the green channel for vertical displacement. That's more confusing than my brain can handle. So I'm just going to change this to luminance and luminance. But here's the power. This is my favorite trick, because oftentimes I'll do like I wear many hats, like many of us do, and I'll edit. And when I edit, there's so many times when like I don't have footage of something, and you know, footage is like a costly thing. It's stock footage is expensive, and then there's a lot of like rights and stuff like that. But photos, it's a lot easier to get like a royalty-free photo or like a public domain photo, or use a photo that I have than it is to find footage of something. And I'll show you another example of that in a second. But my favorite thing is to bring photos to life, because it's incredible what you can do. So again, all I've done is applied the regular displacement map effect in After Effects. I've set it to the depth map from depth generator to be the displacement map layer. I've changed the use for things to luminance. And now for horizontal displacement, look at this. I can just move this horizontal displacement, and it's like this photo is like coming to life. I could do vertical displacement and have her move up and down as well. And so it's so really cool. Isn't that amazing? So I did this example where I previously animated it. And so like here we have this like camera move over 5 seconds. She like turns her head down and to the left using displacement map and depth gen. Look at the back of her head. Look at how like this like halo is kind of going off and to the right and up and to the right, and then her nose is going down and to the left because of the depth map. It's creating this kind of like roundness because of the displacement map. And because the displacement map is so effective, we're able to move this a lot. So like in years past, I would go into Photoshop and paint a map, and it just wasn't quite as accurate. No matter how much time you spend painting it, it's just not quite right. And so this gives you like great displacement maps every time. There's another example I'm going to come back to later where I actually used mirror to make a 3D object of this, but I think we'll skip that for right now. We'll come back to it. Let me show you another example. I've got this, let's see. Okay. Cathedral setup. Yeah. I have this photo that I took of the Cologne Cathedral next to where Max is, Cologne, Germany. And I went there, and it's just a photo. It's like literally just a photo. Here we go. There we go. There's my photo that I took on my iPhone. So it's just like a regular iPhone photo. And this is the exact kind of thing when I was talking about like stock video. Like, I really wish if I was going to do like a documentary on Cologne, Germany, I really wish that I could get some footage of Germany or whatever. And like, that's kind of like harder to, you know, to come by. That like there would be like a slider shot pushing into the Cologne Cathedral or doing exactly what I want it to do. Like, that's a tall ask. But with depth generator, you know, I can make this like really high quality depth map. You can even see like the figures of the saints on the right. Yeah, you're seeing the depth of that as well. So then I could go into, you know, this, let's see here. Where did I have that? I have that on the depth. There we go. And then I could apply a displacement map as I did and animate this. And I animated this pushing in. And I'll turn my effects back on. And then I also added some retrograde. So this is the displacement map. And I animated it as like, as I showed before, on the vertical axis. So you see like we're able to kind of create a push in. I also scaled up the clip a little bit. So look how believable that is. Like we're pushing in to the Cologne Cathedral from this photo I took on my telephone. I've got this great stock clip. And so then I added retrograde, and then I added mojo. And then now we have this, I'll show you like the, well, I got a rendered version of it, but I don't think I need it. So it looks like I have this like classic push-in shot of the Cologne Cathedral in Germany that I could use for like some kind of like montage, and no one would be the wiser. No one would look at this and be like, oh, you took a photo and just did like a depth map, because it's very believable. You know, it looks like a classic photo of the cathedral in Cologne.
Well, now we know, chat.
Yeah, now you know my secrets. So then you're going to be like, oh yeah, I've seen this before, you idiot. But it is very cool. I mean, just the saints, the details of this, like for a few seconds of getting stock footage from a photo, I mean, you really can't beat it. It's super, super incredible. Now, I want to show one last thing that's pretty incredible. And that is a script put out by our very own Hashi, our beloved Hashi, who is like a master at this kind of thing.
Yeah.
He's a master at this depth generator and coming up with creative uses for it. I mean, there's just like all kinds of things you could do here.
And I think it is fair to say to audience that Hashi is currently working on the grand return of Cheap Trick about Def Gen. So
yes, stay tuned. Yeah, and man, I mean, all of us at Maxon have seen it, but when Hashi gets going about Depth Generator, I mean, it's a thing to behold. I mean, it's a thing of magic what this guy can do. I mean, I'm like equally as blown away at Depth Generator as I am like his creativity and his visual effects power. Like he is like a creative force for our generation. Like he is amazing. And so he created this script. Free script, and Max can put that the link to the script to download this. You don't have to log in, you don't have to do anything. Just like click the link to download this script, Depth Wish 2.5. And here's how this works. It does three things. You need to select footage in your project panel. So you need to select the clip, and then you also need to do a pre-render of the depth map for that clip. And they need to be in the project panel. And also, what really helps is if they are 1920 by 1080. I did some tests on this and had some mixed results. And the script is new. He's constantly updating and revising it. So maybe by the time you download it and play with this and watch this video, it'll be all fixed and perfect. But essentially, like what I needed to do sometimes was I needed to pre-compose these and put them into 1920 comps and then select the comps and then choose these options in Depth Wish. That's the name of the script, Depth Wish, which is pretty cool. So you could select the layer and the object and its depth map, and then create easy mat. And what that does is that it creates a composition. And what I can do here, just to show you what this is to start from scratch, I'm just going to create a new blank composition. And then I'm going to take the easy mat thing that he created. And then you want to use that composition as a layer itself, because if you open this up, you could see that the composition has essential properties created for you. And so I open this up and there's like the depth level, and I could just adjust the depth level. And then there's also a softness for the mat. And then there's like an inversion of the map and all that kind of stuff. And I can adjust it here. But if I go into the comp and actually play with it here, I won't have access to the essential properties, which makes that like much easier to play with. And so similar to what we saw with the gradient wipe earlier, then we can do the sandwich thing where we put a layer on top. We can get rid of the background, any of those things with the easy mat. So that's that first option, easy mat. Now let's talk about the other two things, which are pretty cool as well. And I'm also going to talk about this mirror thing. The mirror thing is just like the coolest thing. And also, you know, I'm a huge fan of mirror anyways. So if I select the footage and the depth map and click on stereo comp, then it'll create this stereo viewer composition with this null at the top. And this is for, and I actually came equipped with 3D glasses, which I have not because I'm a nerd and a loser with no friends, but it's for a different reason than that I have 3D glasses at the ready at my house at any given time. But I can select the null here, go to the effect controls panel. And then as I'm adjusting the slider, what's happening is something that is remarkable and terrifying to me, because it's like coming out at me as I adjust this slider separation amount. They basically does the same thing. If you come to 0, then it just creates like less depth. But the more that you get this away from 0, either in the positive or the negative direction, the more that the channels separate, and it creates more depth. So this mountain right now is just like coming out at me. As I increase these values and make this higher, these mountains are just like coming out at my face. Scene convergence takes everything forward or back. And then blur depth map makes it so that as things get further away, they start to soften a little bit as well. So anyways, get yourself some of these friendless nerd glasses, we can call them, and then play with the stereo thing to test this out, because this is truly remarkable how much depth I'm seeing in just like looking at my After Effects screen. So something to check out there. Now, the last
really
thing,
awesome. Yeah,
it is, right?
We're living in the future, Chad.
We are living in the future, man. 1950s 3D glasses. No, it is very, very cool.
It is awesome. Yeah.
So, okay, save the best for last. This is the last, the grand finale here is the best for last. If we choose create mirror comp, we can do something that is truly astounding with automatically. And let me actually just, since we have time, I'm just going to Chad mirror compo. Okay, sure, fine. Chad mirror compo. I'm going to just show you from scratch what we can do with this here. I have this like depth map created from this footage that I have, this like landscape image. And then I use depth generator to create this like depth map, you know, just like we've seen. Actually, I want just like the depth image. There we go. Oh, that's not the right size. Okay, never mind. I was right the first time. Okay. So basically what I can do here, I'm going to make a solid. I'm going to apply mirror to it. If you don't know about mirror, I made a free training series on cineversity.com. I recommend checking it out because mirror is one of the most like versatile, amazing tools ever. It's hard to say like what it does. It's hard to describe it. It's just really weird. It's basically like a 3D mesh playground. And so it makes this mesh, and then it's displaced by this fractal noise, and we can like evolve it, and it, you know, renders really quickly, and you know, it's great. It does so much with this like sheet of, you know, displaceable fractal noise going through this sheet. But one of its most powerful tools is that as you displace it with this fractal map, you can use a custom fractal map in order to displace this. And that allows you to do some absolutely incredible things. So the first thing I want to do is come down to the shader. I'm going to change the shader density from density, which creates this kind of like semi-transparent, like satin type thing. Take it to smooth. So this is just like a smooth thing of mesh. And it doesn't look like much, but if I add a light here, you can see that this is actual like 3D mesh here. I get closer to it. There we go. So you can see that this is actual mesh. I want to go back to mirror and take the blend from add, which makes it so that the edges are in the add blend mode as they overlap, which doesn't work for landscapes, but I'm going to turn that off. And now you can see that we have this 3D mesh that we can light and move cameras around, yada, yada. But stay with me. This isn't that cool yet. I'm going to go ahead and go to the geometry to set up the basic geometry of this. And I am going to change the size to XYZ individual and change the size to 1920 by 1080, which is the size of my composition. So now our fractal mirror thing is that size. Another big thing that, and the reason why I'm going into this detail is that the script, the depth wish script, can't know the resolution of your composition or how that works. And so if you know what's going on, then you can customize it and get things set up the right way. So I'm going to take vertices 1920 by 1080 to match. So that's going to add a lot more resolution. It's going to slow things down a lot because we have more vertices, but now we have, you know, one vertex per pixel, and we get better results that way. And now I'm going to take down the frequency of these, this fractal displacement. You can see what that's doing. It's kind of resizing. So we have just like this fractal field is repeated less often. I'll just take it down to 1. And now here's the magic, folks. I can go to my amplitude layer and change this to landscape depth, my depth map. And then what I can do is, and actually maybe I'll rotate this. Well, no, let me rotate this way. There we go. Okay, so now it's rotating that way. And now as I go into, let's say, my Z range, and I do my Z lift, you'll see that we are actually creating three-dimensional geometry of that mountain landscape. You see that? And if I zoom in here, you could see that like a little bit more closely here. And I think that I might be in the wrong direction. This might be, I might need to go backwards here. But just so you could see the depth here, that we're actually creating three-dimensional geometry from the depth gen map that we created because of Mirror. So it's like the combination of these great tools, the depth gen map, and then the Mirror ability to use fractal maps can actually create three-dimensional geometry from a still image or from video. And so we can go in here and actually go to the texture section and actually apply the texture of the landscape. Let's see if I can get this to work. Probably not, because I'm going on the fly and, you know, and that never works. But if I go to the landscape, okay, there you go. And actually, let me go back to now my fractal, and I'll take my Z lift to like a negative value so that this goes in the right direction, actually. Then you could see that we're getting the ridges, and this is an actual three-dimensional thing. I could relight it. I could use a camera to go in and actually move this around, zoom in on the surface, yada, 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 yada. So actual three-dimensional landscape geometry created in After Effects with Depth Generator and Mirror. And then what happens is when you select this here and then use Hashi's Depth Wish script and to create a Mirror comp, all of this setup is done for you automatically. So I could go to Landscape Mirror Comp, and then this is what's created. And I don't have to know Mirror. I could just go in here with my camera, and all of this is set up for me. So really like instantaneous 3D geometry that I can relight, move a camera around, and do all kinds of stuff with. I can go into Mirror, and I can fiddle with this more. Again, I bumped up the vertices so that this is like a little bit more detailed. I can go in and adjust the material itself, make this like a little bit more, you know, reflective, or add some specularity. I can adjust the texture all these different kinds of things. Going to the fractal section, I just showed you, adjust the Z range to make this like a little bit more detailed if I want, and bulge that out so that there's like more height in my depth map, all those kind of things. So that in a tiny nutshell is a whiz bang, super fast nutshell is depth generator and some of the things that you can do with it. But yeah, like Max said, stay tuned for Hashi's incredible cheap tricks tutorial that's coming out soon-ish, and there'll be even more incredible tricks, mind-blowing things you can do with the precision of these black and white depth maps created by Depth Generator. So chat out. Oh wait, unless there's any questions. Is there any questions or any like stuff to address? Because there's a lot. I went really fast.
Man, I mean, that is just awesome. The example that you're showing, and then later on with Hashi is covering, the way you can use depth map in your composition is just crazy. There are plenty of way to do that. I mean, wow. And Sharon just said that if it's a great fit for drone footage, and seems like it's a great, And
because when you have drone footage and you have that vertical, it's kind of hard to find photos and images, but when you have drone footage where the drone is looking straight down, then you get this like perfect map that you could then extrude, and then you have like this 3D thing. When you use like a regular angled like landscape footage, like if you got from like a really high point and then you took it from that vantage point, the depth map is not going to give you the flexibility to move around however you want. But if you have direct drone footage, aerial footage straight down, then you could actually recreate this landscape, this geometry, and then use it like you would like regular geometry, where you're just kind of like, you could see it from all angles, basically. If you're using that drone footage, you could, again, use it from all angles and do a lot more with it. Yeah, if you got drone footage.
Yeah, that's amazing. Sharon just said that you had me at Mir.
Yes, thank you, Sharon. Mir is the best.
Yeah,
best. Yeah.
Well, if you don't mind, I'll grab the screen from you, chat.
Grab it, dude.
Grab it like I mean it. And another thing that I probably want to show, just a little bit of depth thing that I want to show, is that if you're familiar with another software like a DaVinci Resolve or something like that, I think they also have like a depth generator over there, and they've been using they've been using the depth map to create another OFX called Relight. And I think that's also another great thing that you can use your depth map for. And here I have a footage. Hang on, if I know how to click this. Right, here I have a footage with a depth map that I generate with DefGen, right? And in the footage itself, when I was playing around with Resolve, I was wondering what makes what is the missing link between the depth map and the footage, so that you can just light it as if it is a 3D footage. And I think last couple of days, Hashi put out a video about this, and turned out that the missing link itself is the CC glass effects. So in this case, I have the CC glass applied into the footage, and the CC glass is pointed out into the depth map. And here I can change it into source, from source to effects and mask. And now if I drop in AE lights into my scene, I can now just drag and drop AE light, like, as if I am adding a light in the scene. So yeah, that's another thing that you can use depth map for. And by the way, this scene is also available in the download project file. So if you check out the descriptions of this video, you'll probably see the link to the download project. And as Chad also said previously, he will share the project that he showcased today in the project files as well. So stay tuned. Probably we're gonna update that after the stream, and you can download everything in one page. Right. So that is the new update. And Maxon Redjan 2026.2, right? Dot two, yes. Um, right. If there's any questions, we will be answering now. But if there's no questions left, I think this is time to wrap it up. And as usual, let me point you out into this awesome resources that is Cineversity. So Chad mentioned before that he was working on something on Cineversity, and there will be much more tutorials on our plugins live in Cineversity. If you scroll down in Cineversity, you already see that the new plugins page in Maxon Studio video is already added there. And if you click this, it will lead you into this nice video by my friend Chad Perkins. Look at that. This is awesome. And yeah. And by the way, if you want to check all the other webinars that we sorry to use the word webinars, live stream that we are doing, you can go to YouTube and type in Maxon Training Team, and there you can see all the recordings of the live streams. So if you want to catch up, if you miss something, simply go back to YouTube, type in Maxon Training Team, and it will be there, right? And
Yep.
if you want to check out what's event coming next, go to maxon.net/events, and you'll see right over there that there are plenty of events coming. So that's it for this release. And thank you so much for joining us today. And this has been fun. You guys rocks. Yeah. Sharon, thank you very much for joining. And all the other people, thank you so much. This has been a pleasure. And Chad, any final last word before we say goodbye?
No, I think that's it, man. Thank you so much to you and to everyone in the audience for being like all engaged and your great comments and witty, funny, cute things. It's a great community we have. I love it.
I love it as well. And take care and enjoy the holiday seasons. By the way, we are in December. Holiday seasons are coming. Wish you all the best. Wish you all the relaxing holidays. And until we meet next time in another live streams, take care. My name is Max from Maxon.
I'm Chad from Maxon. Woo!
Thank you so much. See you next time. Take care.
See you.